Here we are in Giverny, France, looking out from our breakfast room. Please pan around the breakfast table. We've had the continental breakfast of croissants, le pain, jus d'orange, and we are now going to go out and see some gardens from Monet, right? Oui. Alright. It is May 30th at approximately 9:15 in the morning. Talk to you later.
If I might one day see Claude Monet's garden, I know I will see a garden bursting with hues and colours, even more than flowers. A garden not so much like an ancient flower garden, than a colour garden, so to speak. Flowers arranged in an overall pattern that is not quite that of nature, as they have been planted to ensure that the tones and nuances match and harmonise in an expanse of blue or rose. And this painterly intention, which is so powerfully evident, has dematerialized in a way from all that is not colour. Marcel Proust. Monet knew what he wanted to get out of the flowers that he had acquired and planted in a particular place. When they were in full bloom, they would be in perfect harmony in terms of volume and colour with their neighbours and with the rest of the garden. Thus he obtained, as he had designed, exactly as he paints, a painting not with colours from his palette, but with flowers carefully chosen for their colours, mixing them, having separate clumps, mixing them in a chaotic abundance that was wonderfully coordinated. Jean-Pierre Ochedé, 1893.
Here's the house we just came from. We'll go into the house later. But this is the gardens of Claude Monet. Alright. I better catch up with everybody. Talk to you later.
It took me a long time to understand my water lilies. I planted them for pleasure. I grew them without thinking of painting. And then, suddenly, I realized the magical qualities of my pond. I picked up my palette. Since that day, I've hardly painted anything else.
This was where Monet came to seek more acute sensations. He would sit there in an armchair for hours without moving, without speaking, scanning with his eyes, trying to penetrate the reflection and discover the undersides of things momentarily illuminated, elusive glimmers where mysteries are concealed. the disdain for language to confront the silence of fleeting harmonies. Georges Clemenceau.
The effect varies continuously, not only from one season to another, but from 1 minute to the next, for the waterflowers are far from being the entire spectacle. They are in fact merely the accompaniment. The main subject is the watery mirror, whose aspect changes every second thanks to the patches of sky reflected in it, which imbue it with life and movement.
And the luminous atmosphere that instills life into them. Rainbow bursts of colour containing every flower, every hue, a celestial extravaganza cascading down from the heavens in a dazzling display invoked by the eye of the painter at certain moments. Georges Clemenceau.
Water lily pond. Very cool. Got a couple pictures. This way there's a Japanese maple that our owners of our old house cut down. Very disgusting. So I'm being paged over here. See? Hi, honey. What do you think of this? Huh? Is it pretty? There is Jen and Jack up there, going out of our sight. So we'll turn this off, and everyone's been getting pictures of these flowers. Very pretty as well. So we will turn this off. There's a big willow tree right there. Very cool.
Okay, here we are at the absolutely amazingly beautiful Japanese bridge.
Absolutely amazingly beautiful.
It is.
To pay tribute to victorious France after the First World War, Monet, already advanced in years, decided to donate a series of water lily paintings to the state. Constantly questioning his work, he persisted in his mammoth task, battling against doubt and despair, while his eyesight grew steadily worse. Clemenceau, who never left his side, encouraged him.
These landscapes, composed of water and reflections, have become an obsession. It's beyond my strength as an old man, but I am determined to depict what I feel. I have destroyed paintings. I've begun again, and I hope that all this effort will produce something.
In one way, from the very beginning, Monet's entire oeuvre was devoted to the study of light. It is the perfect subject, but with the water lilies, his pursuit became even more systematic, and above all took the form not of just another landscape, as it had until that point, but of a sort of microcosm, which he built himself, and in which the variations of light were, in a way, the foundation. In the theme of water gardens, the subject is not conceived as a spectacle watched from a distance. It is conceived as a milieu into which one is plunged. At the same time, he creates the place in the sense that his own movements, his own gaze, his dreams modify the appearance of the place. All the same, there is one very important fact which should not be over or underestimated, as it has a real significance, and that is Monet's cataract. It corresponds to the entire period from 1914 to 1926, when Monet devoted himself to painting giant decorative canvases. Unlike all Monet's other works, which were painted outdoors, the huge decorative panels were all done in the studio, and therefore from memory. You suddenly realize that the entire orangery is not simply a somewhat stylized representation of the reality of the pond at Giverny. It is much more than that. It is the recreation of an ideal world. It is a dream of space and light, the dream of a man on the verge of blindness, who is aware of that reality slipping from him. It is also the dream of a man traumatized by war, and who is recreating this sort of ideal order, a fundamental order too. Monet wanted to offer his contemporaries, and the generations to come, the experience of this sublimation of a traumatic reality, and a return to the fundamental truth of nature and beauty.
I do not have long to live. I must devote every minute to painting in the hope I will succeed finally in doing something good, in achieving satisfaction, if possible. I have no other wish than to be in closer contact with nature, and I desire no other fate than to have, to quote Goethe, lived and worked in harmony with the laws of nature.